We are just a few weeks away from the most important draft that I can remember for the Denver Broncos. We have the 12th overall draft pick, and at this point, Sean Payton and George Paton have looked under every stone for who might be a quarterback that we can get, whether at the 12th pick or trading up or trading back. So at the combine here, we met with the big three, Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye. We know that because of his combine press conference that the Denver Broncos had an extended dinner with J.J. McCarthy. And then we know at the Senior Bowl, we also met with Michael Penix Jr. And Michael Pratt. And there's also been talks that we have also met with Spencer Rattler. But before we dive into what I think is going to happen with the Denver Broncos, I just have to say here that there is one stat that I hope that Sean Payton and George Paton have drilled in their mind and do not forget, and that is the hit rate on a quarterback in the first round is under 40%. It depends on how you score it, but no matter how you score it, it is not a high percentage on how you hit on a pick in the first round when it comes to the quarterback position. And just looking here at some of the, I've stumbled upon this amazing article here. And the article reads, I'll just read this one part to you. Most people believe that the best way to win in the NFL is to draft a quarterback in the first round and win while he's playing on his rookie deal. That has been absolutely drilled in our heads, right? I've heard multiple people in the comments, read multiple people in the comments saying, hey, that's how we're going to win, hit on a first round draft pick. But this article goes down and breaks down the fact of the matter is that so few first-round quarterbacks even make it to a second deal with the team that drafted them. So if you're the Chicago Bears and you're the first overall pick, it would be foolish to not draft Caleb Williams. But to trade the farm for a guy who you know only has like a 35, 36, 37% chance of hitting, and if he's outside of that top two, does that even go further? So if you look, this is a really cool website, drafthistory.com. It goes through quarterbacks, where they're picked and their hit rate. And I would just encourage you to go through and scan the different players who've been picked in the first round. Which one of those players would you be happy with us having? The only first round drafted quarterback who's still with their team, who has a Super Bowl victory in this era, is Patrick Mahomes. And that is a complete and total outlier. He was outside the top 10. He wasn't a name going into that draft. But you just look, even last year, we saw a coach get fired because the Texans really wanted Bryce Young. Well, they lucked out. They got C.J. Stroud in the first round, and that worked. Anthony Richardson showed some flashes, but I don't think anyone's like, oh, Anthony Richardson is going to be leading the Colts to great victories. Will Levis, again, basically a first-rounder, dropped right outside of it, and there's already rumors that the Titans aren't happy there. We go the year after, Kenny Pickett, first-round draft pick for the Steelers, and the Steelers are rumored to be looking at Justin Fields or looking at Kirk Cousins or looking at Russell Wilson, so they're not happy there. And then obviously you go even further into the year after that. Trevor Lawrence, he's a great player, but imagine if you had to give up Pat Surtain and multiple first picks for Trevor Lawrence. I think you'd be pretty disappointed in that, correct? Zach Wilson, obviously, you'd be extremely disappointed. Trey Lance, we see that if it wasn't for the 49ers rebounding and getting Brock Purdy and kind of lucking out there, that could have really, really set their franchise back. And now we see just a few years after trading for him that the Chicago Bears are looking to move on from Justin Fields. We saw Mac Jones get benched. So you just look here at this. We heard that word generational thrown around a lot about these first-round draft picks, and none of those guys you would be happy if the Denver Broncos traded the farm to get one of these guys, right? Obviously, you go a year back, you got Joe Burrow. I think that's a player, if you dropped in and you had Joe Burrow, you would be thrilled. But after that, would you be thrilled with Tua? Would you be thrilled with Justin Herbert? Again, not if you got them at 12, but if you had to trade the farm for them, I don't think you'd be happy at all. And then we come to one of the drafts that sticks out most in my mind, and that was a draft with 5 can't-miss quarterbacks in the 2018 draft. And you see Baker Mayfield bounced around, not on the team that drafted him. Sam Darnold, essentially out of the league. He's a backup, and we're not even thinking about giving him a retread. Josh Allen, obviously, has worked out for the Bills. But then you look, Josh Rosen, is he even still in the league? Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens traded back in to get. That's great. You go this year, you got Mitch Trubisky, and the Bears traded the farm for him. Are they happy with that? No. Patrick Mahomes is the outlier to that. Then you got Deshaun Watson, which off the field stuff, you can't ever predict that when you're going into draft. Let's go one more year after this. Jared Goff, not on the team that signed him. The Rams couldn't wait to see him go. Carson Wentz, back up in the league. He was with Indy for a while. You got Paxton Lynch. We remember that so well. And so I just would really caution us as Broncos fans that we got to trust our scouts. And if they truly believe that this is a can't miss person, then he might be worth trading up. But I truly wonder if the best bet for the Denver Broncos is actually what we saw hinted by George Paton, and that was with his quote right here. It's actually easier to trade down. Where we're picking, it's going to be very valuable if we could actually move down. It will cost the farm to move up any higher than 12. Even moving 12 to 9, they're saying you might have to throw in a future first-round draft pick. So we're moving from 12 to 9 to get a guy that's a 35% chance of success, meaning he's like a 65% chance of failure, and we're giving up future draft capital to get that. So while this is probably the most unpopular video I've ever done because a lot of people just want a quarterback, and I do too, but I don't think trading up when you're at 12 is the way to do it. Now, if Sean Payton thinks like he has a gem and our scouts are more than 35% sure that this is going to hit, then let's take it. But one of the things that we are going to see here is that when all these teams are jumping over themselves to draft a quarterback high, what ends up happening is all the rest of the talent that should have gone high in the draft falls to you at 12. And so if you look here at the big board on the Ringer, I love this site. It ranks players based on who's the best player in the first round, irregardless of position. And so they have Williams and Maye are 1 and 2, but now you keep going down, and you see that they think Jayden Daniels is the 9th overall prospect. And so if he goes in the top 3, that means someone who should be at 3 bumps down, and you keep going. If all of a sudden Bo Nix jumps up, if Michael Penix jumps up, if J.J. McCarthy jumps up, all that does is bumps great talent down to us. And that's why I just love taking a look here at the latest mock draft on the Ringer is from Danny Heifetz here. And he says that that's exactly what's going to happen, that you're going to see Atlanta trade up. They're going to have to give quite a bit to move up. And by doing so, look who falls to the Denver Broncos at number 12, Brock Bowers. So that could just be incredible. If all these teams are climbing over each other to get a quarterback, that could mean that a great player falls to us at 12. I think the other interesting thing is that the Denver Broncos met with a linebacker, Lou Fau from Notre Dame, which could be a sign of what's the future with Josie Jewell, but it also could be a sign that the Denver Broncos, we know how much George Paton loves having a quiver full of picks. And so could the Denver Broncos trade the 12th overall pick because we know that we only have a 30% chance of hitting on a quarterback there, and we could just move back a couple spots. Could we move back and still be drafting in the first round and get a great corner, get a great linebacker, get a great pass rusher, and then maybe pick up a second round pick, which we do not have because of the trade with for Sean Payton. So very excited to see what is playing out this week. I'm going to do a big deep dive of quarterbacks on Saturday. I'm probably going to do my first ever YouTube Shorts live as we watch the players who are throw, and I'll break down and keep you all up to date on the latest news. But man, I hope the Denver Broncos remember that you only have in the 30 percentile chance of having a quarterback that you pick at 12 actually still be on our team in 5 years. And I think we can do a lot better than that. I just look at the Cleveland Browns, look at all the injuries they had at quarterback, and they still were making a playoff push, even with people we'd never heard of before. You see, once the Vikings lost Kirk Cousins and they put in the Pastronaut, they kept doing well. And you just see The backup quarterback with the Bengals do really well. You see all these years when Lamar's been hurt, his backup has done well. And I really think that Brock Purdy has shown us that you can have Patrick Mahomes lead you to a Super Bowl, or option two, if you are not going to find that outlier, is build up your team with just massive talent around them and then find a serviceable quarterback to get you there. So if the Denver Broncos don't have their guy at 12, who they are 99% sure is the dude, I think the Denver Broncos should trade back. What say you? Cannot wait to read all the comments. And Broncos country, let's giddy up. I'm 0 for 2. If I make this, I will be as successful as most first-round quarterbacks are.